Industrial Evolution.
This is Connor from Industrial Evolution, and we're going to be talking about the Ford Bronco today. So the Ford Bronco was first released in 1965 as the 1966 model year. This Bronco generation, well, the Bronco itself ran for 30 years before being discontinued until 2021, when the Bronco was released with 3 different styles of it to appeal to many different crowds. The first Bronco generation ran from 1966 to 1977. The generation lasted the longest, as it was the original. The engine's first generation was various options for inline 6s and V8s, and coming with manual or automatic transmissions. Now, the second generation ran for only 2 years, despite being modeled off one of the most popular F-Series pickups, running from 1978 to 1979. This Bronco came with either a 351 modified or 400 V8, no straight 6 for this model year, or this generation. Now, the third generation ran from 1980 to 1986, still modeled off the F-Series pickup, ran with a 300 inline 6 or 3 different small block V8 options. Fourth generation came in 1987 to 1991. This truck also would come with 300 inline 6 and the small block V8 options as well as the Generation 5, which ran from 1992 to 1996, had the same engine options, and was still being modeled off the F-Series.
We are back at Wolf Motors with the Bronco, and this would not be possible without the help of Wolf Motors in Jordan, so a huge thanks to them for letting us use their vehicle. So let's get into this beautiful vehicle. This specific one has a V6 making about 300 horsepower and about 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite a bit for a V6. It can tow about 3,500 pounds, which is actually, it's decent. And depending on the trim package you get, or trim level you get, it can range from 30K to around 60K, which really isn't bad, but it's not the best either. You can buy a brand new F-150 for that. The Bronco, it's awesome. So we walk around here on the side. We can see that it has the bar here, which was actually kind of neat. Ford kind of kept the original Broncos based off the first gen Broncos, like the 60s. And so they kept the ridge here goes up and over the hood, and that has one here, as can be seen. Comes up and over, which they kept that with the original Bronco had. It also had one of these here, and they kept with the ridge, the little lump here. It's not as defined on this Bronco, but the original ones had that. Also, what I find kind of neat is how they have the headlight set up. The original ones had the same circle headlights, and the blinkers right here were also incorporated more in here, but I like how they kept it as they incorporated more into the headlight. I think that is just really kind of neat how they kept this, how they kind of went back to the original for more, Now to walk along, this has the 4-wheel drive, 2-door, of course. This is a very nice truck. It's got the same headlight, same tail lights. It's got the spare tire here, which, if you're gonna have an off-road truck, you gotta have a spare tire in the back. Walk around over to this side here. It has the Bronco symbol, the Mustang symbol, the Ford right there. It's got, this one does not have the convertible or soft top version. This is a hard top, so you cannot take this off. It's pretty solid. If we walk around here, it's got the bead lockers on this. So a bead locker, that'll help you when you're off-roading. If you hit a rock right here, it's going to help the bead, which is inside here, not to pop out and your tire to come off. So these are really nice. The rims too are really cool. So if we continue our journey over here, if we look straight at the windshield, we can see how it's it's not built for aerodynamics. This is not built for good fuel efficiency. This is built as a fun vehicle and as a truck you can go have fun with, take it off road, take some of your buddies and hit some trails. So this is nice. It's got a nice not a nice slant on it, it's more up and down straight. So I think that pretty much covers everything on the exterior of this Bronco. So I think it's about time that we go to the interior.
I would like to thank, this is the interior, so I'm going to thank Wolf Motors for letting us be able to drive and experience this. Just from right off what I've experienced so far, it's actually a really nice vehicle. It's really spacious. You can see all the screens. I'm usually not a fan of the digital dashes, but honestly, I personally think that this is a really good setup because you have the normal analog speedometer, but you also have digital. You can see how many RPMs you're going at and your fuel economy. I'm a fan of the older, more manual interiors, but the way that this one is set up, I'm really a fan of. Right here you got the different modes for 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. And up here you have all of the electronic stuff. So you have like the electronic sway bar disconnect. So when you're off-roading, you can get more tilt, so then you can climb stuff better. Anything else you'd like to add, Brody?
Not really, besides that this is a super spacious vehicle. And it does turn out, now that we are inside, that this top here is able to come off with just some clips here that we had not seen before. It is able to fold backwards. So,
it looks like the whole thing comes off.
yeah, so the whole top could come off to make it kind of a convertible, but not really. And the trunk, that doesn't have much room back there, but you know, you need trunk space when you're off-roading an awesome vehicle like this. So,
Tillman.
We've had the chance to drive a Bronco, and this is the best thing ever. I've had a smile on my face the entire time. This thing's awesome. It's got a lot of get up and go, a lot of acceleration. If you give it a little bit, even if you just tap the pedal a little bit, it'll go. So you don't really even have to push the pedal on, which is pretty neat. And then for braking, that's pretty good braking. I didn't push the pedal very hard either. It just kind of put very light pressure. This is definitely once in a lifetime opportunity, unless you're going to be purchasing one of these vehicles, which if you are into the off-road vehicles and Fords and you have enough change, definitely buy one of these. The thing's awesome. And this one, I believe, comes with a 10-speed auto, but they also came with a 8-speed auto. So automatic transmission, so you don't have to. So it shifts it by itself, just like most vehicles. The ride's real nice. It's not too terribly bumpy, but it does take them bumps. You can definitely tell. But it's not like an old land yacht or land boat like the old Lincolns back in the 70s where it float down the road. But still, this handles really well. There's no play in the steering wheel at all. Oh, this thing's beautiful. I love it.
Do you feel what I mean by what like barely putting pressure on the pedal, like the gas pedal, and you're already going 30?
Oh yeah. You could take this out on the highway, and if it's, if you're at a stoplight, you go from 0 to 65, you could be there in a couple seconds.
No, this thing has some go to it.
Oh yeah. Also, I've seen up here where you have your selections like park, first person drive, then it has an M. The M stands for manual. So it does have the option to, down here on the shifter column, it's got over here, a plus and minus, so up here, down here, which is really cool. So you can really give it and have the full experience of driving a Bronco, but with more of a manual feel to it. This thing's sick. Blinker, you can tell the blinker's on for sure. It's got a loud blinker to it.
Yeah, I'm more a fan of the more quieter blinkers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Marcus had to leave us. He had to go to work. But, you know, you get me, so it's not the worst thing in the world. There is probably better options, but, you know, you get what you get. So, I am doing the last Bronco, the Bronco Sport, which is the most popular one that you'll be seeing on the road because it's more readily available and it's not as expensive. And so this one doesn't look as mean as the other ones, but let's be honest, still a sharp looking truck. This one happens to go for $32,860. And so, you know, it ain't cheap, but it ain't too expensive. This is actually it's in a good price range. Now, the engine bay here is fairly clean. You know, it may look really confusing with all the electronics, which it is. The electronics are really confusing. But this engine here is unlike any other engine that we went through. This is a 3-cylinder, an inline 3-banger, which is really weird and quite strange. I don't quite know how I feel about that yet, but you know what? It's awesome. It's got making about 181 horsepower and about 190 foot-pounds of torque. And it is just a monster. This thing is cool. It may not push that much horsepower, but what it lacks in horsepower, it makes up in style. Like the front grille here kind of matches the full-size Bronco with the headlights and the blinker, which is pretty neat. And so I think